Come into the center of the chest. And as you feel the rise and the fall of your rib cage, take the awareness in all the way to the heart space. Notice the rhythm of your heartbeat. Try to stay in tune with your rhythms, your own intuition, and allow that to be your teacher. And just hear my words as guidance or as an invitation of a direction for where you may want to go with your practice. And very, very slowly begin to bring the body upright. Per Mary Ellen's request, we're going to start right in with our dragon lunges. So if you've been practicing with us for a while, you know this little trick where we take a folded blanket and then place it underneath the shin of the back leg so that there's space for the back knee to move into. So I'm going to do my right foot forward first, my left foot back. Oh, and I'm going to run a timer on my phone so that we make sure that we, do these poses for about the same amount of time on each side and not too long. So with this dragon lunge, you can have the hands placed on the top of the leg here, or you can bring, if you have blocks or books, or you can just kind of let the fingertips reach towards the ground. As you can see, I'm really reaching. I can kind of get to the pads of my fingers here. So whatever feels comfortable in your body. You want to try to send the pelvis forward and down. And then come back to the breath. This sequence that focuses a lot in the hip flexors has to do with our sense of stability and security in the root chakra located at the base of the spine. And so the mantra that we can mentally repeat for ourselves here is, I have arrived, I am home. So you may want to close the eyes and just say to yourself 3 times more, I have arrived, I am home. I have arrived, I am home. And take 3 more deep breaths on this side. And we're going to gently release. So we'll swing our right leg back behind us. Take a moment to readjust your blanket. And left leg forward this time. Again, see if you kind of want to practice, with the hands up on the knees, or maybe stay here for several breaths and then reach the hands down towards the ground. It's actually really nice. I don't have a lot of collared shirts, and this microphone clips on really well to this collared shirt that I'm wearing today. It is cold and rainy up here in the mountains just outside of Boone. So it's kind of nice to cool off after that hot weather that we had. Keep sending the pelvis forward and down, breathing into the hip flexors. If you have to come out of a pose, just do so slowly and mindfully. And you can kind of stay out of the pose and be in rest, or you can take a break for a few breaths and then come back. And on this side, once again, mentally repeating the mantra, I have arrived, I am home. I have arrived, I am home. I have arrived, I am home. We'll take 3 more breaths. And then gently release, bring the right foot forward again. Take your time moving these transitions. Okay. Now, John Eric calls this one dragon looks behind. And what you're going to do is take your left hand to the outside of your right knee and then reach your right arm out to the side and turn and look out toward your right thumb. Try to be here, stabilizing yourself as much as possible while simultaneously relaxing. That is always like one of the biggest practices in the physical aspect of yoga. Stabilization and balance. Keep breathing. Just 5 more breaths. Staying for 3. Staying for 2. And 1. Gently start to bring the hands back in front. Now, before we switch sides, we're going to lengthen out our right leg. If you want to lift the toes and kind of fold over your leg here. I'm going to call this, pose dragon sticks out its tongue, like your front leg is the tongue of the dragon. Maybe you want to visualize fire coming out of the bottom of your foot. If you can try to drag your right hip point back, you may be able to intensify the stretch in a nice way. If it starts to feel like pain, then you don't want to do that. You can bend the knee a lot too if you've got super tight hamstrings. There are 3 muscles in the hamstring group, and you might feel a pull behind the knee. Again, as long as it's not pain, fire, shooting, dull or achy, as long as the stretch feels healthy and you feel an interesting sensation, then it's okay. Just a few more breaths on this leg. All right, and then slowly start to release. I would suggest putting the right foot back down, kind of coming back to a little lunge, moving the hands to the inside of the foot so that you can easily swing the right leg back. And we'll switch to the other side. Left foot forward. And find our dragon twist or dragon looks behind. So this time you'll take the right hand to the outside of the left knee and then reach the left arm out. Look towards the thumb. It helps if you kind of lift the thumb upward towards whatever's above you so that you're able to really bring that thumb into focus. Use that as a focal point to help balance yourself. If you're still having trouble with balance, you can look down at the floor, or you don't have to twist your gaze at all. You can keep looking straight ahead. Keep breathing. Got about 5 more rounds of breath. And staying for 3. Staying for 2. And for 1. Let's gently release and come into that front leg stretched out variation. So extending the left leg straight out in front like a dragon sticking out its tongue. And you can start to fold over the leg. Again, you can use blocks under the hands. You can bend the left knee as much as you need to. Try to drag the left hip point back. Notice what's happening in the back of the leg. Keep breathing. Keep trying to draw the left hip point back. Keep that interesting stretch happening in the leg. We'll be here for several more breaths. On the next breath, let yourself gently release. So again, you might want to bring the foot flat and then kind of swing it around. Let's take a little break here. I got really inspired by taking breaks when I was in class with Dharma Mitra earlier. So we're just going to lay down on our backs and practice the Shavasana for several breaths. Before we did our final Shavasana today, I'm pretty sure that we did at least 8 of these where we would like do a pose or a couple poses and then rest. Take one more breath. Or not, you can stay in Shavasana for the rest of class if you really want to. And then gently start to bring your body back up. You can roll over to one side or you can rock yourself all the way back up. We're going to come back onto hands and knees and do our low dragon. I'm going to offer a little variation from what we usually do for this. So we're going to bring our right foot forward to the right side of the mat. Place the left hand on the left side of the mat and place the right hand on the inside of the foot. So you stay here, like with this positioning, or see if you can come down onto your left forearm and maybe your right forearm on the inside of the foot. But if not, you can kind of just stay with the right hand on the floor. And if you practice this variation of low flying dragon and you just want to come back into whatever variation of lizard or low dragon that you usually do, that's cool. But you may just want to explore what's there for you if you try to keep the anatomy of the pose that I've offered. I think that not that everybody's goal is to put their foot behind their head, and it certainly isn't one of mine, but it seems to be one of Dharma Mitra's. So this is how he has us practicing, and I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's try that and see how it goes. It does feel like it's opening my hips in a little different way. We hold a lot of tension in the hips. Just breathe. All right, so you can stay here, or if your knee is healthy, come into winged dragon, bring the hands up, and then roll to the pinky edge of your right foot. And it's kind of hard to see me, let the right knee kind of wing open out to the side. And you just rest on the palms of the hands. Only do this, though, if you're really flexing your right foot, like trying to draw your toes toward your shin, and if you have a healthy knee. Take 2 more breaths. And if you had the leg winged, bring it back to center. And then let's switch. We'll take the right leg back, left foot forward. Place the left foot on the left edge of the mat. Place the right hand at the right edge. The left hand is right beside the left foot. And then if you want to explore lowering onto the forearms, you would come onto the right forearm first, and then maybe the left. It's really great if you happen to have blocks and you can use those to bring the floor closer to you. But if not, it's all good. Just make the modifications that you need to make and practice in a place that feels right. Maybe returning to our mantra. I have arrived. I am home. I have arrived. I am home. Keep breathing space into the hips. Remember, if it gets to be too much, you can always kind of come back to step 1. All right, so if you want to explore your winged dragon on this side, you're going to flex the left foot, roll onto the pinky edge. And then let the left knee fall open to the side. You can stay on the hands or be on the forearms depending on your flexibility. My flexibility, at least on this side, is such that I have to just be here on the hands. But I feel something really nice happening in my leg as it's opening up into that wing. So be mindful of the knee. Keep breathing. And take 2 more deep, full breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Slowly releasing, bringing your leg back. Okay, so we're gonna come into a series of swan poses now. This is like pigeon pose. You can also come onto your back instead and do figure 4 stretch, like this, where you cross one ankle in front of the other. But sometimes you can get into these swan poses if you use your folded blanket or a pillow up underneath your front hip. So we'll start with our right leg forward, and I'm going to bring my blanket up underneath my right butt cheek. My left leg is extending behind me, and if you can see, my left toes are curled under because that also helps me have some lift in the hips. So we're going to stay in this upright swan variation for several breaths, and then have an option to fold over the leg. Just keep steadying yourself and breathing. Keep breathing. I am home. I've arrived. I've arrived. I am home. Breathe into the hips. Okay, so now we're going to come into sleeping swan, folding over the leg. You can reach the arms out. Let the forehead drop down to the ground. I'm not going to go all the way into the pose because it'll end up sounding really terrible, like I'm eating the microphone. Notice how the stretch changes in the hips. You might want to visualize the breath coming in through the bottom of the left foot, up through the left leg, through the hips, and being released out the crown of the head. Breathing in through the bottom of the left foot, up through the hips, through the body, and out through the crown of the head. Breathing in through the bottom of the foot, up through the leg, up through the hips, out through the crown of the head. One more breath, just like that. To release this pose, move very gently and slowly. Bring the hands back in close to the body. If you're doing the swan versions, you're going to rock all of your weight over onto the right leg so that you can release your left leg and swing it around in front of you. And before we do the other side, we're going to take a little rest break and come down into Shavasana. So come down onto the back if you're not already there. Lay down. Get all the rest you need in the next 3 breaths. After the next breath, we'll make our way back up so you can rock to one side, rock yourself back and forth and eventually up, or do a slow motion roll up, activating those core muscles to bring you all the way back upright. Unless you're going to stay on your back and do figure four stretch, then by all means, just stay where you are. We'll bring our left leg in front, right leg behind. I'm going to take my blanket here, slide that underneath my left butt cheek, extend my right leg behind me, curl my toes under, and we're going to stay in our upright swan and breathe. One side might be different than the other side. Steady the breath. Try to hear the sound of your inhale, hear the sound of your exhale. And try to relax everything that doesn't need to be working right now. The yin energy is cooling. It's the energy of the moon. It's the energy of the feminine. It's the energy of rest. We'll take one more big breath in our upright swan. And then, if you like, coming into your sleeping swan, folding out, reaching out over the leg. Breathing in through the bottom of the leg, or the bottom of the right foot, up through the hips, and out through the crown of the head. Take one more big breath, drawing breath in through the bottom of the foot, up through the hips, and out through the crown of the head. Slowly release. Walk the hands back in, close to the body. And then rock over onto the left side. That you can swing your right leg around. Come down onto the back. Once more, relaxing in Shavasana. Take a big breath in, so much that you feel your lower back expanding and pressing towards the ground. And exhale and release. Relax the hips, relax the legs, relax the whole body. Let that prana that we've created in these deep stretches circulate. Let's take one more breath on the back. And on the next breath, begin to make our way back up to seated. If you have a folded blanket or pillow, come to sit up on the edge of that blanket or pillow for butterfly pose. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together in front of the body. And you can stay here, or progressively with the exhale, over which time there is a natural relaxation response. You can start to hinge from the hips and fold forward. So let yourself evolve, develop, fold, relax. Keep breathing into the hips. Remember, when we do this stretch specifically, we are releasing this little pear-shaped muscle called the piriformis. And if you're wondering why it's important to release it, it's because if that muscle gets super tight or inflamed, it can press on the sciatic nerve, and that generates a lot of pain. So we want to keep that flexibility in our hips. Keep being here, keep breathing here. Folding over the legs. Traveling deeper and deeper on the exhale. If you feel comfortable, close the eyes and check in with yourself as you actively work this stretch, this release. We're also stretching in the back body, lower back, the QL, the quadratus lumborum, which is kind of a parallelogram shaped muscle. We'll be here for about 5 more rounds of breath. Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. And for 1. When you release the pose, do it very slowly. In fact, if you can, just release like 1/3, another third, and then the last third. Nice and slowly. We're going to keep drawing our right foot in and extend our left foot open. So we're in this kind of half dragonfly, not dragon, but dragonfly pose. So it's like a seated straddle, but we've folded our right leg in. We're going to add in a side body opening here. So we're going to sweep our right arm up and exhale over the leg. Of course, you can bring, if you're super flexible, your right fingertips over to your toes. What happens for me when I do that is I end up collapsing. And so I want this nice long stretch in my side body. So I'm just going to keep reaching up and over instead of trying to actually get down to my toes. And we're not going to be here super long because you're just kind of hanging in space without any support. It can get exhausting real fast. Keep breath going. Two more breaths. To release very slowly, come back up to center. Let the arm gently come down. And let's switch to the other side. So swinging your right leg open, pulling your left foot in. On the inhale, reach the left arm up, and on the exhale, reaching, out over the right leg. Stretching, opening through the side body, through the rib cage. As we stretch through the ribs, the intercostal muscles, we make space for the breath. And right now, more than ever, with a respiratory virus on the loose, it's important to be able to take deep, solid breaths. I think that's the reason why some people have trouble wearing a mask, is because they can't breathe deeply all the way down into their diaphragm. Like they're just so tight that it's hard to breathe already, and it becomes exacerbated when they're asked to wear a mask. Several more breaths. Two more. Slowly release, bring the body back up. Good, and we're gonna come into our full dragonfly now, opening up the legs into a V. So you can also do this on your back, like I could flip around and do this V on the wall. If you're having trouble getting that forward motion, I know John Eric has talked about this a lot, sitting up on a pillow, a folded blanket, or a bolster, even a yoga block, is going to help give you a little bit of pelvic tilt so that you can start moving forward. So starting to come forward on those exhales, just like we did in our butterfly pose. And we really want to focus in on breathing in the lower set of ribs. That's where our kidneys are on the back. So sending the breath to the kidneys and the adrenal glands that sit right on top of the kidneys. Nourishing our kidney energetics, helping to release stress as we get fatigued with life and whatever is happening in the world. Breathing slow and steady and deep. And to the hips. Keep breathing into the lower back. Maybe finding space to come even deeper. We'll be here for about 10 more rounds of breath. If you're already able to bring your body pretty far forward, even if you can't flatten your stomach out onto the ground in a full pancake, you can open up your arms in a V, mimicking the legs, like so your dragonfly, double set of wings, right? And then you can slowly start to crawl your hands out closer and closer. Wow, Mom, you're really deep. She's got a good forward fold. Take 2 more deep breaths. See if you want to go even deeper, even deeper, even deeper. And then we're going to release very slowly. Take your time, like 1/4 of the way, 1/4 of the way, 1/4 of the way, 1/4 of the way, all the way back up. And then gently slide your legs together in front of your body. Take the hands behind the back here and come into your hammock pose. You may even want to bounce your knees a little bit, which is not very yin, but sometimes we need to bring the yang back into the yin, because there is no yin without yang and no yang without yin. If you've ever seen the little white and black symbol with the circle and the dots, one color is in each. All right, let's do one round of back bending practice before we do our final spinal twist and final shavasana. So come on to the belly. I really like to do Sphinx pose, but you are welcome to do seal. What's the difference? So this is Sphinx on the forearms. Seal is I'm pressing the arms straight. If you're going to do seal, I also suggest taking the arms a little bit wider and pointing the thumbs towards the top of the mat, so you're slightly rotating the fingers out towards the edge of the mat. Coming into Sphinx on the forearms. You can still kind of tune this back bend by having the elbows in closer to the body, or makes it a little bit deeper, and farther out away from the body makes it less deep. Another way that you can tune your back bend is by how close your feet are together and your legs. So legs close together is a lot of pressure on the lumbar spine in the lower back. Legs wider apart, less pressure on the lumbar spine on the lower back. This is a good pose to do while you are catching up on all your Netflix shows. Tavia, we can talk about this at the end of class, but I've been watching this show called Absurd Planet on Netflix. I think that your daughter would absolutely love it. It's highly scientific, and it shows all these like crazy animals on the planet. But it's a really fun show. Okay. Take a couple more breaths here. And when you release, make a little pillow with your hands and let your forehead come down onto the back of the hands. And then take some deep breaths into the lower back and rock the hips a little bit from side to side. And then very gently roll onto your back body. So that you can come into spinal twisting on the back. So you can do what's called twisted roots or not. It's up to you if you want to twist your roots If you do, you're going to scoot your hips over the right, cross the right thigh on top. Let your knees drop down to the left. Extend the right arm out to the side, to the right side. And then turn your head, look out over your right arm. If you don't want to cross your right thigh on top, you don't have to. Staying for 3, for 2, and for 1. Okay, let's release. Come back to center. Unwind the legs. Center yourself on the mat. This time, you're going to maybe cross your right thigh on top. Sorry, your left thigh on top of your right. And then drop the knees over to the right and the head, left arm over to the left. Again, totally optional to twist your roots. You don't have to if you don't want to. Take 2 more breaths. Slowly unwind your legs, come back to center. And because, no joke, y'all, there's really a dead bug on the floor here, and I'm watching it twitch around. We're going to do dead bug pose. Some people call this happy baby. Grab onto the outsides of your feet, pull your knees in towards your armpits, and rock a little bit like you're, a bug that's dying, like this little bug on the floor here. He kind of quit twitching though, so Om Namah Shivaya. All right, let's come into Shavasana. Place the feet down on the ground, release the body. Lay down on the ground. It's really good to bring that folded blanket up underneath your knees or pillow up underneath your knees. Right, when you lay down, that way that you have something to take pressure out of the lower back. Let the body get heavier and heavier, sinking into the ground. Relax the bottoms of the feet. Relax the ankles. Relax the knees. Relax the hips. Relax the rib cage. Relax the lower back, middle back, upper back. Relax the throat. Soften the jaw. Relax the right eye, right eyelid. Relax the left eye, left eyelid. Relax the forehead, the brow. Relax the back of the head, back of the arms. Relax the hands. And relax the fingers. Bring your mind back to the center of the chest at the heart space. Feel the heartbeat. Take your awareness inside of the heart. I have arrived. I am home. I have arrived. I am home. I have arrived. I am home. Now begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle the toes. Wiggle the fingers. Bend the knees with the feet coming flat to the ground. Feel the ground underneath the feet. Feel yourself grounded. Take a breath, roll over onto one side. And when you arrive on the side body, full inhale and full and complete exhale. With new breath, gently move into a comfortable seat. We'll draw our hands together in front of the body. Close the eyes or soften the gaze down towards the fingertips. And we'll close our practice, if you would like to join me in doing so, by lifting our thumbs to our forehead for good thoughts, bringing our thumbs towards our lips for good words, and drawing our thumbs to heart center for good intentions. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.